I think a lot of people wanted me to share my story because they wanted to know what happened and how did you go into cardiac arrest. I get there's genetic things, but now that I don't have genetic things, what put me into cardiac arrest? All I'm saying is this is what happened to me. If you are an athlete, maybe just be careful of running an event like too closely to getting vaccinated. At least you have the information to be able to make your own decision. I want to tell my story because I'm hoping that other people will be open to telling their story too. I've been a runner basically my whole life. I played soccer for 16 years, and then my senior year as a collegiate athlete, I actually ran my first marathon.
From the time Meghan Roth turned 21, she has put on the miles, logging 15 marathons in the last 13 years.
There's just nothing like running for me.
And nothing like the Boston Marathon.
It's just one of those races, it's a bucket list for most people to want to compete in Boston.
Roth clocked a 2:58 when she ran it in 2011 and an even better time of 2:44 8 years later to earn her Olympic trial qualifier at Boston in 2019. Roth found out she was pregnant the following spring when the pandemic set in. She ran through it all.
Coming back postpartum, and I had no idea how it was going to go, but I'm like, well, work with my coach. I just thought, why not plan Boston for October and hopefully, come back to race my next best marathon. It's such a special race to me, and just with everything that I've experienced there.
Roth says her training was on track to be back in Boston again when 2 months before race day, she tested positive for COVID. She slowed down her practice schedule for a week.
Came back from COVID, ran 80 miles the following week, then competed in a half marathon 2 weeks later. I just wanted to keep things going forward and hoping for the best to then be able to still be well prepared for Boston.
Even after COVID, you felt really good?
Yeah, I came back running really strong and probably in the best shape of my life.
Marathon rules said runners had to either be vaccinated or show a negative COVID test to be able to race.
If you test positive, you'd have to quarantine for 10 days. You couldn't race. I was like, there's no way I'm going to risk not racing. I kind of had held off. And then all of a sudden we were on a team call talking about it. And my thoughts were, I thought I could get like the first shot and then be fine as long as I was in the vaccination process. I didn't know I necessarily had to be fully vaccinated. So being less than a month, I was all of a sudden, well, I can't get any of the other 2 vaccines. I have to get the J&J shot because that's the only way I'm going to be completely vaccinated within 2 weeks before being in Boston and to not have to worry about testing.
Roth says she noticed some changes in the days that followed her shot.
My heart rate was a little bit elevated on runs that were very easy stroller runs with my son. So that was strange. I'm like, okay, like why is my heart rate in the 150s when usually it's in like the 130s or like 140s at most? And I didn't really think anything of it.
Until mile 7, the morning of this past fall's Boston Marathon.
What do you remember about what happened next?
I was running and all of a sudden just went fuzzy. I don't even remember hitting the ground. It happened so sudden, and the next thing I knew, I was waking up in the ambulance. I didn't know how to react or feel. And once I found out what had actually happened to me, it just got really serious.
Roth had suffered a heart attack. 2 nurses watching jumped in and gave her CPR until an ambulance arrived.
As much as I'm so grateful to be here, I can't thank the people enough that were there to save my life. It's truly amazing, just all the people that came together and everything, but it's hard because why did it even happen to me in the first place?
Roth says she voiced concerns about the vaccine in the days that followed to reporters, but that her points never appeared in print. Extensive testing would eventually reveal no genetic explanation. Instead, her doctors have decided on the combination of COVID from 2 months prior and the shot 15 days before her race as the likely reason for her cardiac arrest.
There should be more research around it, especially for athletes, since, a lot of people aren't pushing their body and heart rate to an extreme to where, it's going to put them into any type of health risk and things like that.
Roth knows not everyone will have negative effects and believes the vaccine saves people. Still, she thinks the medical community should take a story like hers seriously.
If you are an athlete, maybe just be careful of running an event too closely to getting vaccinated, or, just this is my story, at least you have the information to be able to make your own decision.
Meghan Roth is grateful for her second chance, spending as much time as possible with her son while working as a running coach for others and training for what she hopes will be her next race someday soon.
I want to tell my story because I'm hoping, that other people will be open to telling their story too.